Welcome to Globalpose News. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order sanctioning the International Criminal Court, accusing it of illegitimate and baseless actions targeting America and our close ally Israel. The measure places financial and visa restrictions on individuals and their families who assist in ICC investigations of American citizens or allies. Trump signed the measure as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was visiting Washington. Last November, the ICC issued an arrest warrant for Netanyahu over alleged war crimes in Gaza, which Israel denies. The ICC also issued a warrant for a Hamas commander. Judges at the court said there were reasonable grounds that Netanyahu, his former defense minister Yoav Gallant, and Mohammed Deif of Hamas bore criminal responsibility for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity. Deif's death in an Israeli airstrike last year has since been confirmed by Hamas. The International Criminal Court, ICC, is a global court with the power to bring prosecutions for genocide, crimes against humanity and war crimes. In recent years, it has also issued arrest warrants for Russian President Vladimir Putin over alleged war crimes in Ukraine, Taliban leaders for persecuting Afghan girls and women, and Myanmar's military leader for crimes against the Rohingya Muslims. The US and Israel are not members of the court, but more than 120 countries are, including the UK and many European nations. The Netherlands, which hosts the court, said it regrets Trump's order. The court's work is essential in the fight against impunity, Dutch Foreign Minister Casper Veldkamp said on X. A White House memo circulated on Thursday accused the Hague-based ICC of creating a shameful moral equivalency between Hamas and Israel by issuing the warrants at the same time. Trump's executive order said the ICC's recent actions set a dangerous precedent that endangered Americans by exposing them to harassment, abuse, and possible arrest. This malign conduct in turn threatens to infringe upon the sovereignty of the United States and undermines the critical national security and foreign policy work of the United States government and our allies, including Israel, the order said. In a post on X on Friday, Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar said he strongly commended Trump's executive order. He claimed the ICC's actions were immoral and have no legal basis, accusing the court of not operating in accordance with international law. The US has repeatedly rejected any jurisdiction by the body over American officials or citizens, and has accused the ICC of placing constraints on Israel's right to self-defense, while ignoring Iran and anti-Israel groups. While the US is not a member of the ICC, the former clerk to the court's first chief prosecutor warned the sanctions could have a profound practical impact on its operations. The sanctions do have the potential of freezing property and assets, as well as suspending entry into the United States of ICC officials and their immediate family members, Zachary Kaufman told the BBC World Service. In his first term in office, Trump imposed sanctions on ICC officials who were investigating whether US forces had committed war crimes in Afghanistan. Those sanctions were lifted by President Joe Biden's administration. Last month, the U.S. House of Representatives voted to sanction the ICC, but the bill foundered in the Senate. In response to efforts to what they described as attempts to challenge the ICC's authority, 9 nations, including South Africa and Malaysia, launched the Hague Group last month in an effort to defend the court and its rulings. Trump's executive order said that both nations, the US and Israel, are thriving democracies with militaries that strictly adhere to the laws of war. During his last weeks in office, President Biden also criticized the ICC's warrant for Netanyahu, calling the move outrageous and saying there was no equivalence between Israel and Hamas. The ICC prosecutor's case against Netanyahu and Gallant found reasonable grounds to believe that they each bear criminal responsibility for the following crimes as co-perpetrators for committing the acts jointly with others: the war crime of starvation as a method of warfare, and the crimes against humanity of murder, persecution, and other inhumane acts. It also found reasonable grounds to believe that each bear criminal responsibility as civilian superiors for the war crime of intentionally directing an attack against the civilian population. Trump's signing of his latest executive order follows his announcement during a joint press conference with the Israeli Prime Minister on Tuesday about a plan for the U.S. to take over Gaza, resettle its Palestinian population, and turn the territory into the Riviera of the Middle East. After Arab leaders and the UN condemned the idea, the U.S. president restated it on his Truth social media platform on Thursday. The Gaza Strip would be turned over to the United States by Israel at the conclusion of fighting, Trump wrote, referring to the war between Israel and Hamas that is currently under a ceasefire. He repeated that the plan would involve resettling Palestinians, and that no American soldiers would be deployed. His post did not make clear whether the 2 million residents of the Palestinian territory would be invited to return, leaving officials scrambling to explain. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt said on Wednesday any displacement would be temporary. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Gazans would leave for an interim period while reconstruction took place. Netanyahu has praised Trump's remarkable plan to remake Gaza. On Thursday, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz ordered the military to prepare for voluntary departure of Gaza's residents. He said the plan would include departures via land, sea and air. Trump signed the order as Netanyahu continued his visit to Washington, meeting lawmakers from both the Republican and Democratic parties on Capitol Hill. The Israeli Prime Minister also presented a golden pager to Trump. The gift was a reference to Israel's deadly operation against Hezbollah in September last year, using booby-trapped communications devices. Dozens were killed and thousands injured in the attacks, including some civilians, according to Lebanese officials. For more updates, news, views from around the globe, follow us on all our social media platforms at Globalpose.